Hi, this is part two of the drive to work on March 10th, 2023. It's a Friday. So in the last video, the Chris from the last video, the reason he was like searching his pockets and stuff like that at the end of the video, and he was being a little weird, is because his nose was running. Like, don't tell him I told you this, because he didn't want to mention it on video, but he has no way of knowing that I'm telling you this. So just don't let him know. But yeah, so the reason he said he was going to take a couple of minutes to get back to you is because he had to search the car for something to wipe his nose with because it was cold out and blah, 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 and his nose was running. So yeah, that's the whole reason he was like being weird at the end there. Like I said, don't tell him I told you. It's a secret. Just keep it between me and you. So anyway, what I was talking about before the... just at the end there was what I was talking about yesterday on the trip home was this binocular I want to make again that I made years ago. It just reverses what your eyes see. It shows your left eye what your right eye sees your right eye, and it creates an interesting effect. Things look hollowed out, like everything you look at. Although I think, if I remember properly, it doesn't do it to faces, because what's weird is our brain is so this. Yeah, I definitely want to build this and like give one to Matt for him and his kids to play with, because it does that interesting thing. Your brain is actually programmed differently. Is programmed differently with faces, meaning that when you put these binoculars on, people will look like hollowed out, paper thin versions of themselves, except for their faces. Their faces look normal because your brain doesn't interpret faces the way it interprets other objects. It's all very fascinating. My subscriber's not going to, I think I said his name again, my subscriber's not going to believe me until I actually put one of these in his hands and he looks through it. It's actually pretty fascinating. I don't believe they don't sell these as just a general toy, because it is a remarkable effect when you get it to work. So anyway, I was talking about like I couldn't find the acrylic. I didn't really look for any of the materials yesterday, but now I'm really interested in making a high quality one. I want to slap together a crappy one just so I can show my subscriber the thing. I'm surprised these aren't mass marketed. I probably should make it once I perfect a really simple design, just sell them, because they are very nifty. So anyway, I think that would be a good reason to get a 3D printer, just to mock up to make the case for those, at least the prototype case, because it's a very simple design. I actually have it. I have my initial design, which did work, like I said, but it was crap because I just sawed some plywood and had some acrylic mirrors that I snapped off and put them in place. And it was all held together with brads. Like, when I say it was held together with brads, it wasn't nailed together. Like, I nailed the brads through the brackets, and I used them as standoffs and as wedges. Like, I didn't nail the whole contraption together because I needed the ability to adjust it, because it was just built so shittily. Like, there was no grooves in the wood. Like, everything was just like, just pencil 45 degrees and just kind of tacked together. And like I said, it was just a proof of concept, and I got it to work for a few minutes before, like, everything shifted out of place and you had to keep playing with it. But since it worked, I just never revisited it. Like, that's really cool. And then, like, okay, done with that project. I know it works, and I wandered off till the very next day. So the market was down like 560 points, some ridiculous amount yesterday. I'm going to taste my coffee. So this is Puck coffee in a plastic travel mug, which is decaying. Like, you can't see it here, but like this is like a black rubberized bottom, and it's got that white dust film on it that old rubber stuff gets on it after it starts to decay. It smells like garbage. Tastes like hot garbage. That's the worst coffee I've had all day. I know the coffee. It's a dark roast. K-Cup type deal. I don't know the brand. I don't want to give them a hard time. Coffee can only be so good out of a K-Cup because it's already pre-ground. So when I'm making a pot of coffee at home, like I grind the beans. My wife thinks we're becoming coffee snobs, and it's obvious. It's not worth saying. To the point where I'm thinking about getting a water kettle and an electric water kettle and a French press to keep at my desk at work so I can make good coffee. Because clearly coffee is a part of my life, and I think it should be enjoyable. It shouldn't just be since I'm addicted to it already, I might as well enjoy it. This, I'm bad-mouthing this coffee, but this is definitely much better than no coffee. And a lot cheaper. If I would have preferred to make a pot. I just didn't have the time. In fact, part of the reason I was late going out the door, I never got into this, is I decided to make a single serving, K-Cup, fill my travel mug with coffee, and that was the last thing I did before I left the house. So I didn't realize how long it takes to make just a single cup of coffee. It just, especially when you set it to the bold setting like we do, and it's just standing there. I think it took over 4 minutes, because it has to bring the water up to boiling, and then it has to because we have it set to the bold setting. I think it feeds the water through slower. So if I had thought that through, I mean, there wasn't much I did in the kitchen anyway. As I said, I didn't pack myself a lunch because I'm going to do a 2-day fast. In the previous video, I said that, not this video, so you didn't miss anything. So I didn't pack a lunch. What the heck was I doing in the kitchen? I was grabbing myself a water. I don't know where I lose my time. Did I load the dishwasher? I don't even think I loaded the dishwasher, because the thought had crossed my mind, because I went to bed relatively early last night, so the dishes hadn't been taken care of. And usually in the morning, I'll do my morning routine. Then I'll make sure that the sink is clear and all that stuff, because my wife has a bunch of chores she has to do in the morning, getting the daughter off to school and doing duck prep for the ducks, which involves using the sink and things like that. And I just didn't have a chance. I am pretty sure I did not clear the sink. There's not too much stuff there. The main thing I wanted to do, because I didn't do it last night because I went to bed so early and people were still milling around the kitchen, is I didn't clean my cast iron pan. And that's always a no-no when you make anything with a tomato sauce or anything that involves water, because it'll, even though the seasoning on my pan is pretty good, it's not perfect. And I haven't really done a good re-season in a while. I'll heat and oil it. Generally use bacon fat to get a nice glaze on there, but I haven't done a deep seasoning in the oven, really get a nice thick coating on there. So when I do a tomato sauce or even taco meat, if I let it sit overnight, and of course it's going to be worse than overnight because I'm not going to get to it until I get home from work today. It does have a tendency to etch into the seasoning a little bit, which I don't like. It's really not a big deal, but I should have been on top of it. I should have cleaned the cast iron pan last night as soon as we were done using it. Get into cast iron. I think I've covered it in other videos. I have this one pan that I use. I can't remember if it's a 12 or 15 inch cast iron. It's not vintage. It's a Lodge. I bought it new. I have a lot of other ones that I've picked up and rescued from thrift shops. And I can't remember what you call the other thing. I'm going to say swap meet, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Flea markets. I've bought some really raggedy ones, and I've brought them back to life. Cleaned them up, de-rusted them, seasoned them really well. And so I currently have 2 cast iron pans, my go-to pans that sit on my stove. And the one cast iron pan, I'm going to call it a 12-inch, but I'm pretty sure it's bigger than that. I use it for everything, like literally everything. Not literally everything. I use it for a lot of things. I don't cook spaghetti in it. I don't boil eggs in it. But you get what I mean. Anything that requires a frying pan goes in there. And it gets used multiple times a week. The other ones get used less frequently. I probably should use them more because the problem is there's 3 of us, and I make a lot of the same foods over and over again because they're good. And that pan is the perfect size. It's perfect for grilling up 3 strip steaks. It's great for doing 4 chicken breasts. It's great for doing 3 pork chops. It's perfect for bacon. It's just a great size to cook for 3 people all at once. Whether it's the proteins or whatever. Obviously, vegetables and stuff get done elsewhere. But I like my cast iron pan. Also think, and I said this yesterday to my wife, that taco seasoning was so good. I'm just going to make a huge batch of it. I don't think I'm going to buy taco mix anymore. I think I'm just going to take one of my leftover spice jars. I probably even have a McCormick's taco seasoning big plastic container. I think I'm just going to make a big batch of it to have. I guess I should compare. What is the cost? What is the cost of buying a McCormick's taco seasoning mix container versus the wear and tear on the chicken's ass, versus all the individual ingredients that go into it? I can look that up when I get home tonight. It's funny. We take this stuff for granted. All the ability to spice and flavor our foods. Well, not all of us do. Some people don't use spices or flavorants at all, which just drives me crazy because they're available and they're relatively cheap. Even though if you look at the price per pound on a lot of things, it's ridiculous, $900 a pound. But you're not using a pound of it. You're using very little. Little goes a long way, especially if you buy little amounts and you use them while they're still spices and not bland spice dust. And fresh herbs and spices are very good. My point is, back in the, let's call it the Dark Ages, but I don't mean the Dark Ages. I just mean a long time ago. Could be the Dark Ages. Who knows? Who cares? Spices were expensive. They were ridiculously expensive. More expensive in relation to your wealth than they are now. You could just, at least a variety of spices. I'm sure salt was always available, but cumin and all the other spices that start with C, they weren't as cheap or readily available as we can just walk into a supermarket now. You name a spice, it's just sitting there waiting for you to buy it. I'm glad. Spices are like the spackle of the culinary world, or is it the spackle? No, I don't mean spackle. I mean, what's that stuff called? Stucco. No, stop. Vinyl siding. What am I on about? Spices are the vinyl siding of the culinary world. You can hide a lot of sins under spices, just like you can hide a lot of sins under vinyl siding. What's that time? Like, it's already... Oh, I see. I see. When we push the clocks forward, it's going to push the sun back down on the horizon because it's going to be an hour later. Okay. No, I changed my mind. I'm all for daylight saving time. Forget everything I've said for the past 52 years. I'm suddenly on board with daylight saving time. No, I'm not. I don't even exactly know why it makes me mad. I mean, obviously, losing an hour in the middle of the night in space at this hour is a pain in the ass. But, like, why am I not happy that I'm gaining an hour 6 months away? I guess it comes down to messing with time. Like, you shouldn't mess with time. Very dangerous. You could create paradoxes. Unresolvable causality ending paradoxes. Bit under 5 minutes to go. Still haven't prepared a list of things. I mean, I've got a list of things I have to work on for you guys. Like, there's that card trick I got to show you. Now I got to build those binoculars for you. I also have to finish just a general experiment with the mirrors. Try to mock that up. But just in general for this channel, I haven't made a list of things. Like, I talk in generalities, but I never prepare. Like, the taco seasoning thing I discovered yesterday, that was fantastic. Had I been thoughtful, I would have just memorized the ingredients. Like I said, it's 5 ingredients. I think I listed all of them. I just didn't tell you. Most of it's just like a teaspoon and a half. Most of it's a teaspoon and a quarter. Most of the ingredients, that's what was it, like just a teaspoon and a quarter of everything, except for a couple of them. I think salt might have been a teaspoon and a half, but anyway, my point is the channel. Although I've established the structure and I've gone back and forth about that many times, I do think I'm going to stick with 22-minute segments. But that's an easy decision to make. What to put in those 22-minute segments? Like, I've talked about various things. The running a D&D game, I still like that idea. It does weigh on me though, because there is a significant amount of prep and thought that has to go into doing that, and then there's going to be research before, creating copy, research after, and there's a delay because I have to wait for people's responses. I think it would turn that 22-minute segment into too much of a chore. I'm just going to plead laziness. I don't want to do it. I want to do it, but when I think about the actual process, I realize it's going to be a lot of work. It's a lot of tasks added to the beginning and ends of my days. And then I'm also relying on others, meaning that I like consistency. Like, so I would have to rely on someone. Someone would actually have to be playing. Someone would have to watch. They would have to respond. You know, like let's say it's the morning. It's the morning episode. So I'm doing the D&D thing. Like I've thrown out a scenario the day before. After work, I've read the responses. I've read their thing. Then I have to do preparation, figure out what happens next. And then I have to disseminate that information on the next day's ride in. Like I said, I have to prepare a copy the night before, or memorize exactly what's happened, explain the situation, and then like that whole process starts over. Then I do it on one of the 22-minute segments, and I post it. I get home. Hopefully they've seen it at some point during the day, and that's the other problem too. Like, I'm relying on someone during the day to do that, so that when I get home at night, I can immediately go in and look at what they've said they've done, what roles they've gotten, and then do the whole process over again. Figure out what's next. What do I have to do? Although it sounds very regimented and structured, something I would like, it also sounds like a big pain in the ass, and I would. Twofold. I have to rely on somebody else, and two, they have to rely on me, and I don't want to let them down. Oh, crap, we're at the end here, so I'll be back in a couple of minutes, but in the meantime, have a wonderful day.